Bienvenidos a la séptima clase de este curso de inglés pre-intermedio completamente gratis. I upload a new class every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe to my channel to receive notifications. And don't forget to join the Facebook group where you can find all of the resources and presentations that I use in my classes. Today we're going to learn about comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives. We are going to look at the difference between comparatives and superlatives. And then we're going to look at comparatives and superlatives in lots of different tenses. Let's begin. Okay, so the first thing is comparatives and superlatives. We actually studied comparatives in the previous level. En básico vimos comparativos, como stronger y better. Cómo decir en español más fuerte que o mejor que. And today we're going to see superlatives. Cómo decir el más fuerte de todos o el mejor de todos. The strongest, the best. That is what we are going to see first. Es lo que vamos a ver primero. Do you remember? Do you remember in class 7? We saw this comparison between místico and Rey Mysterio. We looked at adjectives like tall and short. For example, Rey Mysterio is shorter than místico. We looked at how to form the different comparatives. For example, nice becomes nicer than, strong becomes stronger than, fat becomes fatter than, and so on. We saw lots of different examples. Rey Mysterio is older than místico. We saw místico is more Mexican than Rey Mysterio because, well, Místico was born in Mexico and Rey Mysterio was born in California. So we saw all of this in class number 7. We also saw these rules, the rules for the formation. For example, regular one-syllable adjectives like nice or strong, you add an ER or an R, right? Nicer, stronger. One-syllable adjectives that end with a vowel consonant, like for example, fat, which is vowel consonant AT, or hot, which is vowel consonant OT, you double the consonant and you add an ER. Fatter, hotter, wetter. Or if you're American, fatter, hotter, wetter. Adjectives that have two syllables and end with Y, for example, ugly or tasty, you take away the Y and you plus IER. Uglier, más feo. Tastier, más sabroso. Sillier, más tonto. And adjectives that have two or more syllables and do not finish with Y, for example, beautiful or interesting or stupid, we use more and an adjective. For example, more interesting or more stupid. And there are many irregular adjectives which are common. For example, good becomes better, igual que en español, bueno se cambia a mejor. Bad becomes worse, igual en español, malo se cambia a peor. And further, for example, el adjetivo is far, lejos. Más lejos is further. We saw some more examples. Atlas are better than Chivas. Undertaker is stronger than John Cena. Ana de Armas is more beautiful than Selena Gomez. Or just you could say, I think Inception is more interesting. It depended on the context, right? We also saw this, making some sentences comparing superheroes. Superman is stronger than Iron Man, but Iron Man is taller. Spider-Man is younger and shorter than both. So, what we're studying today. Iron Man es más rápido que Spider-Man in English is Iron Man is faster than Spider-Man. But how do you say, pero cómo se dice, Superman es el más rápido de todos? O simplemente Superman es el más rápido. You would say Superman is the fastest of all, if you want to include de todos. Lo de todos no se tiene que decir porque ya la implicación es el más rápido y punto. This is a superlative. It tells us the number one in a category, okay? So comparative, lo que aprendimos en básico, comparative, like faster, is comparing two things, okay? Una persona es más rápida que otra. But a superlative, estamos hablando del número uno, el número uno en una categoría, okay? Number one in a category. So I look at these statistics again, and I can say, for example, Iron Man is the tallest. He is, right? So let's just check. Iron Man is 1 meter 93 centimeters, Superman is 187, and Spider-Man is 170. Yes, so he is el más alto de todos. Iron Man is the tallest. Spider-Man is the youngest, el menor. Iron Man is stronger than Spider-Man, but Superman is the strongest. Okay, so there we have a comparative and a superlative in the same sentence. Un comparativo y superlativo en la misma oración. Uno es más fuerte que otro, pero el tercero es el más fuerte. ¿Sí? De todos, of all. It's very important to learn this because this is a very common error for Spanish speakers learning English. So we're comparing two things. In English we say X is stronger than Y. Más fuerte que Y, right? Y is bigger than Z. Z's are heavier than X's. Z is better than X. Everything's better than an X. Y's are more interesting than Z's. Okay, that's comparing two things. These are comparatives. But if we're selecting the number one, the best, we would say, for example, Z is the strongest, X is the biggest, Y's are the heaviest, Y is the best, X's are the most interesting. So here's an example of a very common mistake, un error muy común. Como en español utilizan la misma palabra como por ejemplo mejor, dicen mejor que o el mejor, ¿sí? Entonces muchas veces en las traducciones que hacen ustedes mientras están hablando inglés, dicen el mejor en una traducción literal, ¿no? Pero en inglés la palabra para mejor que y la palabra para el mejor son palabras diferentes. Y yo veo mucho y escucho mucho esto, ¿no? Pizza is the better food of all. Or Goodfellas is the more interesting film in history. Y ya aprendiendo estas palabras, solo le agregan the delante de y creen que eso es correcto, pero está mal. Sería pizza is the best. The best. El mejor is the best. Mejor que, sí, is better than. Pero el mejor, que es lo que quiero transmitir aquí, the best. Okay? Goodfellas is the most interesting film in history. Here's another example. Italian food is better than British food, but Mexican food is the best. Okay? No sería the better, it's the best. A train is faster than a car, but a plane is the fastest. So, it's really important to know that you have to make different words. It's different, a comparative to a superlative. They are different. So, it's very important to discover how we form the superlative. How? These are the rules for comparatives. But superlatives, we always use the, and we have to change this. Siempre utilizamos the para decir el o la mejor, más rápido de todos, ¿no? We always use the, y tenemos que cambiar esto. We have to change this because it's not faster or nicer. It's est, in este caso. If it's one syllable regular adjective like nice or strong or fast, we say the nicest, the strongest, the fastest, the tallest, the oldest, the youngest. One syllable ends vowel consonant. We don't say fatter or hotter or wetter. We say fattest or hottest or wettest. Okay? Still the double T in this case, est. Two syllables with Y. What do you think? I-E-S-T. Minus the Y plus I-S-T. So, el más feo sería the ugliest. El más sabroso, the tastiest. El más tonto, the silliest. Two or more syllables and it's not Y, like for example, interesting, that's 4 syllables, interesting. Or ridiculous, 4 syllables. We don't use more, we use the most, okay? The most interesting, the most ridiculous. And with common irregular adjectives like good and bad and far, we say best, worst, furthest. These are just irregular, okay? So these two are a big source of errors for Spanish speakers. Es una fuente muy grande para hispanoparlantes porque dicen the more interesting or the more ridiculous, que sería incorrecto. Cuando están señalando el número 1 es the most interesting or the most ridiculous. Y igual como better y worse, mejor, peor, son fuentes de errores también para hispanoparlantes. Igual el mejor o el peor. Muchas veces escucho the better o the worse. Y no, es the best y the worst. Here's one more example. I have tacos, tortas, and tamales, okay? And my adjective is tasty. So it's going to be this category here, right? So here's my example. Tamales are tastier than tortas, but tacos are the tastiest, okay? De los tres, of the three. No es necesario decirlo porque pues por el contexto ya lo entendí. Tamales are tastier than tortas. So this is a comparison of two things. A comparison of two things, so it's a comparative, tastier. And then if I'm talking about supremacy, the superlative, the number one, el número uno de los tres son los tacos, entonces, but tacos are the tastiest, lo más sabroso. Okay, so here's 3 more for you. I want you to take your time and write a sentence. If you want to, you can leave it in the comments or in the Facebook group. Bueno, aquí hay 3 para ustedes, para que construyan sus oraciones utilizando comparative y superlative. Los pueden dejar aquí en los comentarios o si quieren los pueden publicar en el grupo de Facebook. My phone, my house, my clothes, new, nuevo. Time, love, and attention, important. Netflix, HBO, YouTube, good. Okay, so one is better than the other and the other one is the best, right? And you can write an original example with any 3 things that you like. Y pueden escribir un ejemplo original con las 3 cosas que quieran. Okay, it's time to do some exercises. Go to point number 1 in the description to do the activities. Okay, so this is the page for the first activity. You have to complete the sentences using the superlative form. Okay, so there's no comparatives here, it's only superlatives. So remember the rules, okay? Who is the, and then tall person in your family. So we already have the. Ya viene incluido el the. Entonces no nos tenemos que preocupar por eso. We don't have to worry about that. Tall, 1 syllable, double L finish. Okay, so it's going to be the tallest. My mom is the good cook in the world. Es la mejor cocinera en el mundo. Good is irregular and it's the best. Okay? The page for the second activity looks like this. It's comparison of superlatives exercise. So fill in the superlative forms of the adjectives in brackets. So again, we have the adjective and it's only superlatives, okay? Not comparatives. So, close, cerca. That's an adjective. The moon is the closest, okay, planet to Earth. Is the moon a planet? That's interesting. Jupiter is the, and large, okay, that finishes with an E. So I'm going to write large and then just an ST, right? Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. Sirius is the brilliant, okay? So I think in this case they probably mean bright, right? But okay. Because brilliant is 3 syllables, I have to write the most brilliant, okay? Finish the activities and I will see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. So now we're moving from comparatives and superlatives separately. We're now going to look at them together, okay? So we have examples so far of them together. Italian food is better than British food, but Mexican food is the best. A train is faster than a car, but a plane is the fastest. These are very easy sentences to understand, okay? I'm giving you these examples and they're very simple. Les estoy dando ejemplos muy sencillos. Entonces vamos a ver un párrafo más complejo. We're going to look at a more complex paragraph, okay? So, these spaces, is it a comparative, superlative, or just an adjective? Okay? Yesterday I watched a very, and then adjective, series on Netflix. It's a German series called Dark, and I think it's one of, adjective, series I've ever seen. I still think Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are adjective, but dark is pretty adjective. I enjoyed the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. The last 2 seasons were really adjective. They were a lot adjective, the first 6. So in this paragraph, I'm not including the or than, which are big signals, right? En este párrafo no estoy incluyendo cosas como the y than, porque serían como señales y les daría la vida muy fácil, ¿no? Entonces, okay, so the first one. Is it more interesting than, a comparative, the most interesting, superlative, or just the adjective interesting? Yesterday I watched a very interesting series on Netflix. Very should help, okay? Very interesting. Ayer vi una serie muy interesante. No va a ser muy más interesante que o muy el más interesante. No, pues no. A very interesting series on Netflix. It's a German series called Dark. And I think it's one of series I have ever seen. So is this going to be better than, the best, or good? Let's have a look. So I think it's one of, better than, the best, or good. What do you think? ¿Qué creen ustedes? Tomen su momento, porque les voy a decir la respuesta. I'm going to tell you the answer. Okay. I think it's one of the best. Una de las mejores series que he visto. One of the best series I've ever seen. En mi vida, ¿no? He visto. I still think Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are better, the best, or good. So the answer I selected here is better, but it's also possible the best. The best también es posible, ¿no? Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are the best, también sería aceptable, pero pues nada más en el contexto puse, todavía pienso que Breaking Bad y Los Sopranos son mejores, o sea, mejores series que Dark, es la implicación, pero aquí hay una coma. Por eso, un párrafo es un poco más complicado, ¿no? Y qué bueno, para darnos un reto. Puede ser, I still think Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are better, or I still think Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are the best. But dark is pretty, is bastante, and then we have another option. We can say better, the best, or good. It's pretty. ¿Qué creen ustedes? Ya les voy a decir. It's good. It's pretty good. Bastante bueno. Okay. I enjoyed the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. The last 2 seasons were really... What's it going to be? Worse than, the worst, or bad? What do you think? Really bad. They were a lot... What? They were a lot the first 6. Okay, so we're talking about a comparison between the last 2 and the first 6. Okay. Estamos hablando de una comparación entre los últimos 2 y las primeras 6, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que va a ser, ¿qué creen ustedes? What do you think? Worse than, okay? Comparing 2 things. Let's do an exercise. Go to point number 2 in the description to do the activity. Okay, so this is the page for the activity. You have to select the correct option for the sentence, okay? My sister is person in my family, okay? En mi familia, de todos en mi familia, entonces vamos a estar hablando de un superlativo, ¿no? My sister is young person in the family, no, younger than person, menor que persona, no. La menor persona, la persona menor, okay, it's going to be the youngest. Correct, okay. Moscow is a very city. Moscow es una ciudad muy, okay, muy grande, muy más grande que, o muy el más grande. No, pues va a ser muy grande, ¿no? Very large. Finish the activity and I will see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. I wanted to look at this. Quería ver esto. Vimos en la clase número 7 del nivel básico, we saw in class 7 of the basic level, Fighter by Christina Aguilera, a song, right? And there were modifiers in front of the comparative adjectives. A little bit stronger, un poco más fuerte, ¿no? O sea, sí hay como modificar la fortaleza o la fuerza de un comparativo. Un poco más fuerte o mucho más sabia, much wiser. There are ways of modifying, okay? With superlatives, there's not so many options. Maybe something like by far, por mucho, o sea, el mejor por mucho, the best by far, or the best without question. Pero la verdad no hay como modificarlo porque estamos hablando del número uno. No se puede decir como más o menos el número uno, no. O sí es el número uno o no lo es, ¿verdad? También se puede decir not stronger, for example, no más fuerte, o not the best, no el mejor. Not the best también es algo muy común en Inglaterra, por ejemplo, si te preguntan, ¿no? ¿Cómo te fue? O si te preguntan qué tal la comida y quieres expresar que no fue muy buena, dirías, pues no fue la mejor. It wasn't the best. Okay, not the best. Was not the best. So now we've looked at comparatives and superlatives. Just a quick mention. Ahora que hemos visto comparatives and superlatives, quería mencionar igualdad, equality. In English, we can say as plus adjective plus as, okay? For example, Pepsi is just as tasty as Coca-Cola. I'm not sure that's true. Son iguales, dice, iguales de sabroso. Okay, this is for equality. They're exactly the same. I worked as hard as you, okay? Tan duro como tú. Trabajé tan duro como tú, pero tú sacaste 10 y yo 9. Exercise, well, diet is just as important, okay? Igual de importante. Aquí no estoy poniendo pues ejercicio otra vez porque ya lo dije. Just as important, igual de importante, okay? No siempre tiene que ser as, adjective, as y la otra cosa. Puede ser as important y ya. Depende del contexto, si ya lo mencionaste. And of course, using not shows inequality. You can say not as tasty as. So Pepsi is not as tasty as Coca-Cola. No es tan sabroso como Coca-Cola. Okay? I didn't work as hard as you. So I got 9 and you got 10. Yo no trabajé tan duro como tú, entonces yo saqué 9 y tú 10. Well, diet isn't as important as exercise. La dieta no es tan importante como ejercicio. Okay, I prepared this for you, okay? This is some information about Paris, information about London, and information about Rio, okay? We have the city name, we have when it was founded, okay? Population of the area, the attractions, the climate, the opinions, for example, and you can add your own opinions. Toda esta información la vamos a utilizar para hacer como comparaciones y decir cuál es el mejor, ¿no? Here's an example, un ejemplo de lo que quiero que ustedes crean. I think London is just as beautiful as Paris, okay? Yo creo que Londres es igual de hermoso que París. They are both old European cities. This is just an adjective. Ambas son ciudades europeas viejas. So this is a regular adjective, okay? Rio de Janeiro is very different, another adjective. It's the hottest of the three, and it has the most, y tiene the most, lo que sea, ¿no? Es un ejemplo que empecé. Y yo quiero que ustedes hagan uno parecido. Pueden ocupar mi información aquí, para eso lo saqué. Pueden dejar su párrafo en un comentario o pueden ponerlo en el grupo de Facebook y con gusto lo reviso. Igual, pueden comparar 3 cosas que les interesa más que las 3 ciudades, ¿no? You can also compare 3 things which are not these cities, maybe something that interests you more, like, I don't know, 3 series, for example, like Dark, Breaking Bad, and Sopranos, or whatever. Okay, so now we're moving on to comparatives and superlatives in all the tenses, en todos los tiempos. So, there's a guy crying. He is crying at his wedding. Okay, está llorando en su boda. Supongo que de felicidad, pero quién sabe. I imagine it was happiness. Who knows? Yesterday was the best day of my life. Okay, so if we're talking about a wedding, you might say, ayer fue el mejor día de mi vida. Okay? This has been the best day of my life. Si sigue siendo hoy el mejor día de tu vida, puedes decir, hoy ha sido el mejor día de mi vida. O ahorita mismo se está convirtiendo en el mejor día de mi vida. This is becoming the best day of my life. Esto es el mejor día de mi vida, presente simple. This is the best day of my life. Tomorrow will probably be the best day of my life because it's a prediction, okay? Tomorrow will probably be, a lo mejor mañana será el mejor día de mi vida. Tomorrow is going to be the best day of my life. Estoy seguro. Mañana va a ser el mejor día de mi vida. Okay, so you can see the best. No cambia, no? The superlative is not affected by the tense. Okay, it's possible to use the superlatives in lots of different contexts. Comparatives are the same, but the significance, the meaning changes a little, okay? So for example, you were happier, estabas más feliz, pues la implicación es que estabas más feliz en comparación con lo que estás ahorita, ¿no? You were happier en el pasado de lo que ahorita estás, than you are now. You have been happier than you are now. Igual, has estado más feliz de lo que ahorita estás. You are getting happier than you were before. Okay, so then we're changing a little bit, right? Te estás poniendo más feliz. You are getting happier de lo que antes estabas, right? You are happier than you were. Estás más feliz de lo que estabas. Tomorrow you will be happier than you are now. Okay, mañana serás más feliz. Y la implicación es de lo que estás ahorita, ¿no? Mañana vas a estar más feliz igual de lo que estás ahorita. Okay, so it's just important to bear in mind when we're talking about superlatives, it doesn't make any difference, but if you're using a comparative, maybe it changes the meaning a little. Okay, just bear in mind. But it's the same as in Spanish. Okay, si estamos utilizando comparativos, sí, pues sí puede cambiar un poco con el tiempo, puede cambiar un poco el significado de la oración, pero es igual que en español, ¿no? Estabas más feliz. Bueno, entonces la implicación es que en el pasado estabas más feliz de lo que estás ahorita. Mañana estarás más feliz. Bueno, entonces igual en español estás diciéndome que ahorita no estoy tan feliz como voy a estar mañana, ¿no? Entonces es lo mismo. It's the same. Okay, it's time for a song. This is a song by Coldplay. It's called The Hardest Part. It's from 2005. So I want you to find all of the superlative adjectives, okay? Que busquen todos los superlatives en esta canción. Here are the answers. 3, 2, 1. The hardest, okay? En este caso no es más duro. Bueno, podría ser más duro, pero es más difícil, ¿no? The hardest part, la parte más difícil. Básicamente está hablando de una ruptura. Y la parte más difícil era dejarte ir, no participar. O sea, the hardest part was letting go, not taking part. Era la parte más difícil. Y la cosa más rara, the strangest thing, era estar esperando para que tocara la campana. Was waiting for that bell to ring. Era el inicio más raro. It was the strangest start. I could feel it go down. Lo podía sentir bajar. Bittersweet, agridulce, que yo podía saborear en mi boca. I could taste in my mouth. Silver lining the clouds. Bueno, ese es un dicho en inglés. Silver lining a cloud. Básicamente el dicho va que para cada nube hay una línea alrededor que es como plateado. Que dice que hay esperanza tras de la cosa mala, ¿no? Básicamente, every cloud has a silver lining. Cada nube tiene como una línea plateada, ¿no? Y yo deseo que yo podría averiguarlo, entenderlo. I could work it out. And the hardest part was letting go, not taking part. Otra vez repetido. You really broke my heart. Realmente rompiste mi corazón. And I tried to sing, y intenté cantar, pero no podía pensar en nada, but I couldn't think of anything. And that was, y eso era la parte más difícil. Okay? Oh, I could feel it go down. Otra vez, podía sentirlo bajar. Dejaste el sabor más dulce en mi boca. Otra vez, tú eres lo plateado que es la línea alrededor de la nube que les expliqué. You're silver lining the clouds. Oh no. Y yo. Me pregunto, I wonder, de qué se trata todo, what it's all about. Okay, I wonder what it's all about. Everything I know is wrong. Todo lo que yo sé está mal. Everything I do, it just comes undone. Eso debe ser it. It just comes undone. Everything I do, it just comes undone. Todo lo que hago se deshace. And everything is torn apart. Y todo se desgarra. Creo que se dice como que... O sea, se desgarra todo. Obviamente, figurativamente no estamos hablando de tela que se desgarra, estamos hablando de que una relación que se desgarra. Everything is torn apart. And it's the hardest part, es la parte más difícil. La parte más... that's the hardest part. Eso es la parte más difícil. Yeah, that's the hardest part, okay? Básicamente está hablando de lo más difícil de romper una relación, ¿no? Okay, that's everything for this class. Don't forget, in the description you can find an exam to test if you understood everything from this class. Remember, I upload a new video every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to join the Facebook group so we can all learn English together and you can download my resources and presentation. Thank you for learning English with me, and I'll see you next class.